Mike Missanelli Show. Football Friday. Yep. 1 o'clock hour brought to you by Ferguson HVAC. Lion Conklin, attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, supplies for every heating and cooling job. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations, Ben Salem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. All right, let's get into the details here. The Eagles on a Sunday night game at Los Angeles, and the man who covers the Birds for ESPN.com joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline. He's the great Tim McManus. Hello, Timmy.
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
Good. So let's get right into this health issue. Tell me about Devontae Smith and what may happen here.
Well, he hasn't practiced all week, and he has a hamstring injury that has been lingering. We saw last week when he was coming off the field that win over the Commanders, he was walking really gingerly, really slowly. And that was the first thought of like, okay, just how banged up is he? He's going to be able to make it to the next game. And even with this, a little bit of an extended break for the Eagles coming off of a Thursday night game, he still wasn't able to go. So typically, if a player doesn't practice throughout the entirety of the week, it signals that he's not going to play on Sunday. So the Eagles have to prepare for the reality that they might not have Smith at their disposal on Sunday night in Los Angeles.
All righty. So I for some reason, this game makes me a little wary. I don't know why either, because I look at the statistical matchup. It looks like the Eagles have the edge. They're playing well. The Rams really are a team. They're up and down, and you can kind of get to this quarterback. Although in the last couple of games he hasn't been sacked. The Eagles are holding wide receivers to a pretty low rate. So how do you see it?
I'm with you. I mean, and we'll have to reflect next time we talk on whether we are both feeling, sensing something, or if we just ate something that was bad, Mike. But I'm with you, man. I have that same feeling about this game. And one thing that I'm looking at, obviously, the Rams are desperate, and I think that matters. Like, the psychology of sports definitely factors in. Where you're a 5-5 team that's scrapping to try to get back to relevance and stay in that division race and try to get on top of it. You have a team that's won 4 of their last 5 games, and they have Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua now back at their disposal. And on the defensive side, they're vulnerable on the back end. They've given up 18 defensive touchdowns, and that's really where I think that the Eagles could expose them. But number one, Devontae Smith doesn't look like he's going to play. And number two, this passing attack has really left something to be desired, if we're honest about it. Jalen Hurts has been kind of slow in the beginning of games. He's ramped up great. The offense overall is ramped up as the game goes on. But now that he's down one of his top receivers against a pass rush that is in the top part of the league in both hurries and pressure rate, is he going to be comfortable and is he going to be able to execute at a high level? So I'm with you. I have a little bit of apprehension about this.
But here's the weird thing. It's all these stats twist into each other. Like the Rams hold running backs down. Tied for 7th against running backs in yards per carry. Their pass defense has not been good. They do pass rush. That 41.9% pressure rate is first in the league, and Hurts is really good against pressure. So, on one hand, you look at it and go, okay, they may have to pass because the Rams are good against the run, and if they pass, they're going to have to pass against a good pass rush. But he's been pretty good with pressure.
Yeah, and I'm speaking with Lane Johnson in the locker room this week. The sense that he has is that teams are really going to start loading up against the run. And that's to be expected. They're already starting to do that a little bit, and Eagles have still found ways, but his expectation is that it's going to just keep increasing to slow down what's been obviously the best part of the Eagles' offense to this part, and Saquon Barkley, over 1,300 scrimmage yards. It's been dynamite. Everybody knows it. So that's going to put the onus on Hurts. And it's going to put the onus on that passing game. And so this, to me, Mike, this is a huge Jalen Hurts game for me because, he could go in and torch a secondary that has been susceptible to being torched, and all of a sudden he could be in, the MVP conversation in the NFL. 9-2 Eagles team, he goes out and he shines in a big moment on the big stage. The flip side of that is that if he underperforms against this secondary and the Eagles come limping out of Los Angeles, and the questions are going to be more is the passing attack holding this team back overall? Is that the weakness on an otherwise championship caliber team? So for me, this is a very big moment for Hurts.
Tim,
Sunday night's going to have both Defensive Rookie of the Year candidates on the field. You got Jared Verse for the Rams. You got Quinyon Mitchell for the Eagles. And we all know how good Quinyon Mitchell's look. But you wrote a great article this week for ESPN about what Darius Slay, who I think sometimes gets underappreciated here in Philadelphia, what he's meant for Quinyon. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, Slay does seem to get a bit of a bad rap considering his resume on the field. I don't know if it's because he goes on Micah Parsons' podcast, or I don't know if it's his personality or what, but he has been, a captain for multiple seasons now for this team, and one of the best attributes for him off the field is the fact that he really takes pride in making sure that the younger guys are as up to speed as possible, and he's particularly taken an interest in Quinyon Mitchell. Like when he's a guy that has a deep appreciation for like the NFL. He has his finger on the pulse of what's going on in the draft, and so he was watching all of these guys coming out, and he identified Mitchell as like the top guy, and his thought was, if we can get him in here, we can be special. And really, since the moment that Howie Roseman got on that big screen to Mitchell and was like, "I want you to like move next door to Slay," like they've taken that pretty seriously, and Slay has been on his hip. So their lockers are right next to each other, and that's at Slay's request. They're in the meetings together side by side. They go up to Christian Parker, the defensive backs coach office, and they meet early in the morning, frequently together. So he's been a guy that he's really leaned on, whether that's like through the week or even in game, where Slay has been giving him tips throughout about what to expect. So that's been a really big part, sort of like a yin yang that they've had of like this older vet coming in with a rookie. And I think it's safe to say that those two rookie defensive backs have played way above expectation. And I think Slay's got a hand in that.
All right, so we both look at this game as a trouble spot, and I look at it like they could lose this game but then bounce back and beat the Ravens, which I think would be more satisfying to me. So we'll see what happens. All right, so what is the Tim McManus prediction?
I'm going to go 26-23 Rams, Mike.
26-23. I'm kind of close. I got 20. What did I say? 24-23. I think I had. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right.
In the same ballpark.
Yeah, they bounced back and it beat the Ravens. I think nobody's going to be too upset about it. But at the same time, those lines don't look like they're going to be slipping up very much. And this is an NFC game, which is going to be counting more when we get into tiebreakers and things like that, as opposed to the Ravens in the AFC. So, if they could pull this one out, obviously, and they're in great position, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Tim, I know you're saying you're not feeling it, and Mike's saying he's not feeling it as well. But if we do look back into history, Vic Fangio has been pretty successful against Sean McVay-led offenses, hasn't he?
He has. He hasn't played him in a while, and to that point, he's like, yeah, I haven't really gone up against McVay in like 6-7 years. But there is a history there where anytime he has gone against him, he's been able to shut him down. In fact, Bill Belichick sort of adopted the Vic Fangio scheme for the Super Bowl, where the Rams ended up getting shut down. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely like, it's not all just like logic. Like there's definitely things on the Eagles side of, sure, like Jalen Carter performed lights out last time he played against the Rams in LA. There's Fangio has definitely had good moments, and so they're definitely capable of it. I mean, no doubt about that.
All right, Timmy, always a pleasure. Enjoy your trip out there, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, boys. Talk to you soon.
Tim McManus headed to L.A. La La Land.